Parents will often tell children not to stare at the sun. This is good advice, since permanent retinal damage occurs after staring for just a few minutes. This is called solar retinopathy. Lasers and very bright industrial lights can also damage the retina. Since very bright lights can damage the retina in a short period of time, can long-term exposure to moderately bright light cause retinal damage? The answer is maybe, and why not protect yourself against this possibility? In experimental mice, bright light does cause permanent retinal damage. If the light has the intensity of sunlight, short exposure times can cause damage. If the light is not quite so bright, chronic exposure over days to weeks can cause permanent damage. This is thought to be due to what is called photo-oxidative damage. The light reacts with the retina to produce molecules that are very reactive and cause damage to surrounding molecules. If light exposure is a risk factor for AMD, then it would be expected that people with lighter colored eyes, which let in more light, would have a higher risk. Indeed, African Americans have a much lower risk of AMD than Caucasians. Some studies have suggested that people with blue eyes have the highest risk. Some experimental mice and even a particular breed of dog have genetic mutations that make their retinas extremely sensitive to light. Permanent retinal damage can be caused by light levels that would not harm animals with normal retinas. Analogously, people with AMD, Stargardt disease, or retinitis pigmentosa may be more susceptible to retinal light damage than people with normal retinas. The simplest way to protect against possible retinal light damage is to wear sunglasses and a hat. The sunglasses should have dark tint. If you hold the glasses up to a light, the light coming through the lenses should appear gray, brown, or yellowish brown, not blue, which is probably the most damaging light wavelength. If picking ready-made sunglasses in a store, choose the ones that transmit the least light, but only wear them if you can still see well enough. If ordering custom sunglasses, ask the optician for a very dark tint. Polarization will also decrease the amount of light coming through sunglasses and helps reduce glare. UV protection helps protect the lens inside the eye against cataracts. Since UV light is blocked by the lens inside the eye, it is the visible light that can harm the retina. Since it is thought that blue light can damage the retina, ophthalmologists can now offer blue-blocking lens implants when performing cataract surgery. While these may be helpful, the same effect can be achieved by wearing sunglasses. Could indoor lights be harmful? It is prudent to use the amount of light you need to read or perform activities of daily life, but there is no reason to exceed this amount with very bright lighting. When choosing light bulbs, those with the warm color spectrum, favoring reds and greens over the cool blues, are typically more comfortable for reading and may be safer. Energy-efficient LED bulbs come in warm or full-spectrum varieties. As with most things in life, light is good, in moderation. The above script taken from Bright Focus Foundation. The blue light in LED lighting can damage the eye's retina and disturb natural sleep rhythms, France's government-run health watchdog said this week. New findings confirm earlier concerns that exposure to an intense and powerful LED light is phototoxic and can lead to irreversible loss of retinal cells and diminished sharpness of vision. The French Agency for Food, Environmental and Occupational Health and Safety (ANSES) warned in a statement. The agency recommended in a 400-page report that the maximum limit for acute exposure be revised, even if such levels are rarely met in home or work environments. The report distinguished between acute exposure of high-intensity LED light and chronic exposure to lower-intensity sources. While less dangerous, even chronic exposure can accelerate the aging of retinal tissue, contributing to a decline in visual acuity and certain degenerative diseases such as age-related macular degeneration, the agency concluded. Long-lasting, energy-efficient and inexpensive, light-emitting diode (LED) technology has gobbled up half of the general lighting market in a decade, and will top 60% by the end of next year, according to industry projections. LED uses only a fifth of the electricity needed for an incandescent bulb of comparable brightness. The world's leading LED light bulb makers are GE Lighting, Osram and Philips. The basic technology for producing a white light combines a short wavelength LED such as blue or ultraviolet with a yellow phosphor coating. The whiter or colder the light, the greater the proportion of blue in the spectrum. LEDs are used for home and street lighting, as well as in offices and industry. That are also increasingly found in auto headlights, torches, flashlights, and some toys. LED cell phone, tablet and laptop screens do not pose a risk of eye damage because their luminosity is very low compared to other types of lighting, Francine Bahar-Cohen, an ophthalmologist and head of the expert group that conducted the review, told journalists. But these backlit devices, especially when they're used at night or in a dark setting, can disturb biological rhythms, and thus sleep patterns, the agency cautioned. Because the crystalline lens in their eyes are not fully formed, children and adolescents are particularly susceptible to such disruptions, the ANSES reports noted. Interfering with the body's circadian rhythm is also known to aggravate metabolic disorders such as diabetes, as well as cardiovascular disease and some forms of cancer, noted Dina Attia, a researcher and project manager at ANSES. In addition, a stroboscopic effect in some LED lights, provoked by tiny fluctuations in electric current, can induce headaches, visual fatigue and a higher risk of accidents, the report said. For domestic lighting, ANSES recommended buying warm white LED lighting, limiting exposure to LED sources with a high concentration of blue light, and avoiding LED screens before bedtime. ANSES also said that manufacturers should limit the luminous intensity of vehicle headlights, some of which are too bright. Finally, the agency cast doubt on the efficacy of some anti-blue light filters and sunglasses. Scripts taken from Bright Focus Foundation and AFP, Maison Alfort, France. Thanks for watching.